Alright, so before I start, quick warning, I'm still new to Source Filmmaker, so it's not going to be the best thing you've ever seen. If you're looking for people who are actually good at this, I'll put some links in the description. For the models I use, yes, I know they're not the actual SHIKI characters. If you don't like that, upload the real ones from MMD to the SFM workshop, and I'll redo the whole thing. Also, SHIKI is a series not suited for young audiences, therefore, if you're not an adult and don't have an adult's permission, please don't continue. With that out of the way, let's start this review of SHIKI, a 2010 anime with 24 overall episodes, with 2 of those being OVAs. So, first of all, what is SHIKI about, you might ask? Well, I'm assuming you all at least know about a certain series that came out in 2014 called Tokyo Ghoul. Kinda like that, but in my opinion, better by far in a lot of aspects. SHIKI is about vampires and the moral conundrums that surround them. Mind you, these vampires aren't overpowered like Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or Dracula from Castlevania. They're more like, well, honestly, from what I've seen, they're unique. For the most part, they're a lot more mundane in terms of abilities, with the powers they do have being a lot more practical and with a slightly greater weakness than most. So the first episode starts with Megumi Shimizu, who we get to know by her complaining about her life in the small village setting of Sotoba. Through her, we learn a few things. 1 is that Sotoba is full of old people. 2 is that an old mansion was torn down and then rebuilt as a European-style castle thing, where the new people recently moved in. 3 is that some old religious statues, Jizo is how they pronounce it in the dub, but I'll refer to them as religious for the time being, were destroyed and such. And the 4th is that a group of old people in a remote part of the village mysteriously died. Mind you, you already know what's going on because of yours truly. Or you read the anime's description, unlike yours truly, who went into this completely blindfolded. Anyways, Megumi wanders up to the mansion and then goes missing for a few hours. Search party is called, and they eventually find her collapsed with what seems like a case of anemia, which for your convenience I looked up means a condition marked by a deficiency of red blood cells or of hemoglobin in the blood, resulting in pallor or weariness. The only thing that the local doctor, Dr. Ozaki, is able to find is a few bug bites. Or are they? And that Megumi herself says she's tired. Ozaki himself takes some blood for testing, only to discover that the following day,
Shimizu's dead.
Episode 2 starts off with Megumi's grieving family telling Dr. Ozaki that no, he cannot hack up the corpse of a 15-year-old to see why she died. Disclaimer, I have nothing against autopsies. I'm just making a statement that Ozaki's sanity drops faster than a Russian peasant in World War II. The rest of the episode is mainly an introduction to another character, one who I didn't introduce yet but was introduced in episode 1, Natsuno Yuki. Much like Megumi, the first thing you think after hearing him is, asshole. He is entirely apathetic to the fact Megumi is dead, but to be fair, she was stalking him literally every night. We also meet his only friend, Toru. No, not that one. Toru Muto, along with his crush, a nurse named Ritsuko, not gonna try to pronounce that one. Anyways, it doesn't take long for Dr. Ozaki to figure out something is off. Along with his friend, who's a monk, Seishin Muroi, and his other friend, who I'm not gonna try and bother naming, realize that a lot of people are up and dying suddenly, a number of which we hadn't even known about. And the first guess they have is, of course, rational, that it might be an epidemic. The episode ends with Nao, the wife of another of Ozaki's friends, Mikiyasu, appearing unwell with similar symptoms to anemia after inviting one of their new neighbors, the Kirishikis. Yeah, you can guess where that's headed. The next episode starts off with Karma being a bitch to Natsuno Yuki, which is enjoyable in itself. Nao's condition gets worse, and Seishin encounters one of the Kirishikis, a little girl who has a sunlight condition, who appears to like the monk's fiction writing, and also makes a quick remark about how a suicide attempt scars hilarious and pointless. But anyways, next episode! Yeah, no, Nao is definitely dead now. Natsuno feels like he's being watched again, and Seishin invites the creepy child to the old abandoned church he hangs out in.
FBI should be knocking on his door any minute now.
Where she makes another creepy remark. But hey, Natsuno is definitely being targeted by Megumi, so wait, no. He decides to stay at Toru's house. Wait, no, he invited them in. Well, at least Natsuno is gonna... Oh. And they kill Toru instead.
Stop it! Leave him alone!
Son of a bitch! So the next episode starts off with a few more extras dying out of nowhere. Ozaki is obviously swamped with work, and his staff are anxious too, since they also think it might be an epidemic. Seishin is out gathering details on the deceased, and finds out that they all mysteriously quit their jobs or moved away before dying. This information isn't useful, however, to Ozaki, for now, who wanted something a little more pertinent, like symptoms they might have exhibited. Oh yeah, also, Toru's wake has some drama with some weird kid I'm glad I didn't have to go to high school with, or else I'm pretty sure he would have, And not to know. Then we learn that the weird kid's sister-in-law's kid is suddenly sick, and also that for literally no reason the weird kid is an asshole. To everyone but Toru and Megumi, that is. Luckily, we don't have to put up with him living for much longer. So the next episode... by the way, the weird kid's name is Maso, but I'm keeping weird kid prior to this. Dies, and of course Natsuno doesn't care. But hey, at least he's figuring the whole thing is the vampire's fault. Slowly. Anyways, more and more people are quitting and leaving and dying, and naturally Ozaki is stressed about it and lashing out and shit. So Seishin vents to the creepy girl in the creepy church about how Ozaki doesn't really like being an Ozaki because of his family title. Oh yeah, also Natsuno kind of opens the option to Ozaki that this whole thing is because of vampires. So then Natsuno befriends a small infestation of children who think that the new people are suspicious too, and convinces them to dig up a grave. I mean, okay, bright side, at least Maso is still dead. Oh, you fucking cop! So through Maso, we learn about vampires, including that they won't die of disease or normal means of execution, but they are weak to sunlight, a wooden stake, not that kind, to the heart, decapitation. Yeah, sorry Dio, that shit was way too OP. Or religious stuff. Also, apparently that rising up, as they call it, doesn't happen to everyone. Like Maso's sister-in-law's son, or Nao's entire family she accidentally murdered trying to make them her vampire family. Oh, and Natsuno and friends begin digging up Megumi's grave. Yeah, nah, the grave is empty. Oh no, Batman touch! So Natsuno takes the vampire unconscious, only to discover that yes, it is in fact a vampire. They bury the body about as well as you could expect of a 15-year-old and his gaggle of friends. Well, as long as Natsuno's parents don't invite any creepy girls into their home, he should be fine. Oh, shit! So, Ozaki convinces Seishin to stay with him at the clinic overnight to observe a sick patient to see if the vampires are actually real. They get a pretty solid proof. Oh yeah, also Ozaki's wife shows up because Ozaki's mom hates her? Dude, I swear it's a lot more intricate and I'm cutting a lot out, but come on, man. Oh yeah, and at one point, Ritsuko, the nurse Toru has a crush on, tries to bring the best fucking sandwich I've ever seen to Ozaki and Seishin, but then she winds up seeing Nao's deranged-looking corpse wandering through the woods and nopes the fuck out. Also, I just realized I put has instead of had, so I'll fix that later on. Unless I'm too lazy to. So the vampires cut the power from outside, so naturally the monk volunteers to turn the power on by wandering his way there. He sees a horrifying display by a massive group of vampires, including Megumi. Then this dude who helped out Masao clocks Ozaki and... Okay, so here's a clip to show what it looks like from the abridged point of view. I mean, that's not how it happens, but fuck, the film is too funny to leave out.
Okay, so I know we've hit a few snags when it comes to dealing with the Draculas, who injected Monsieur Sabor with garlic.
And who are the vampires as a test?
But yeah, no, the old lady they were looking after gets 86'd by her undead daughter-in-law and her new pals. So then the vampires figure out that they have to kill Natsuno, and of course Megumi tries to stop that since she has a crush on him and all that, but nah. Nah, his best friend Toru does him in. So anyways, this crazy lady makes a quick debut and then immediately gets killed after making one of the right ties but being completely written off as a crazy lady. Seishin asks Sunako, the creepy girl, if she's a vampire by using a biblical allegory, and of course she is. So while Natsuno's best friend kills him, he tries explaining why he can't just feed a little at a time with a kind of bad allegory about how you don't just cut off a slice of pig to eat it. Like, I got where he's trying to go, but it is totally different. I've killed boars before, I know. Anyways, after attacking him another time, Natsuno is almost dead, but of course his friends try to save him using religion, and they would have gotten away with it too if not for his meddling dad. Oh yeah, also, because the kids now know, Megumi kills their dad. So next, Ozuki's wife is attacked, and she's in critical condition. Then Natsuno finally gets done in by Toru in a really cold-hearted way. Then the kids Natsuno was friends with find out their dads died by Megumi literally telling them. Ozuki's wife dies, and he keeps the body hitting until it rises up, and then he goes full saw on her, performing some nasty shit on her before ultimately killing her with a wooden stake, severing the connection between the aorta and the vena cava. Seishin walks in on the mess, and as any sane man would, he leaves. So next, Ozuki tries proposing the idea of vampires killing everyone and immediately gets shut down. Of course, then Ozuki is attacked and forced to burn his evidence against them. Then we get some more sad background on Nao and how her biological parents were shitty. So she feels even worse about killing her husband, son, father, and mother-in-laws. Then she kills someone else. We also get a bit more backstory from Sunako and how she was turned into a vampire. One of the kids tries to attack a vampire and then goes missing like a political activist in China. At this point, the last child of the trio has dug her own grave, and Seishin tries to comfort her like he's not chilling with the people responsible. Ozuki at this point is almost dead when he finally gets the drop on the vampire, who's been attacking him using, that's right, religious stuff. He then has her murdered in a pretty fucking violent way, before tearing up the castle mansion. Ozuki's strategy against the vampires is simple.
Kill every last one of them! Okay.
Oh, yeah, also, all the people in the village, right, that are still living, go from completely dismissing Ozuki to being complacent in genocide, so I'm not saying it's inaccurate, it's probably more accurate than anything out there, but man, that got dark real quick. During all this, Ritsuko is killed and turned into a vampire, and Toru is left to supervise her. Ha! I put has a crush on for a reason, motherfucker! Anyways, she refuses to give in to hunger and feed off her friend, unlike someone! And eventually Toru lets her leave in exchange for Ritsuko snuggles. Also, fun fact, the dub voice actors for Ritsuko, Maso, and Megumi have roles in another favorite of mine, Fairy Tail, as Urza Scarlet, Natsu, and Happy respectively. I'm also like 90% sure that Sunako is Lucy Heartfilia, but y'all compare her too often to a different character in terms of usefulness, and I don't personally agree with that. And now, back to our regularly scheduled suffering. Episode 20.5, OVA numero uno, guess who gets to know Nao even more, and how happy she was when she was human. Did you guess you? It's you. Guess who winds up suffering for wanting to be loved? Guess who dies horribly? Did you guess Nao? It was Nao. Also, like a fuck ton of other vampires die horribly too, but honestly, who gives a fuck anymore? The next OVA is simply a mom who went from a little over-paranoid to descending into a full-blown schizophrenic, who accidentally kills her son after her daughter and husband die. So, Natsuno is actually alive and messing stuff up for the vampires behind the scenes. A little bit of a bummer, but anyways, the cast members I bothered to list are dropping rapidly as more and more vampires get killed. That including both Toru and Ritsuko. Seishin, however, manages to smuggle Sunako out of the small room they were in and into an even smaller one, right before his whole family gets killed for no reason other than the human group thinking, sus. Then Seishin gets cut by some dude's cleaver trying to leave. And as night falls again, Sunako wakes up and starts running. Sunako manages to make it back to that church I was talking about. However, it offers little protection against the crazy fuck wielding a hammer that the mad lad chucks
Prepare to
at her
die.
with the force of a fucking freight train. Oh yeah, and a fire breaks out, so now everything is crumbling. Natsuno is now dead, thanks to himself pulling out a stick of dynamite and blowing himself up along with an enemy. Megumi almost makes it out, but then a group of farmers pull a...
And now I shall administer the killing blow! 9 more seconds, that's all you have left! 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. 4 seconds. 5 seconds. 6 seconds. 7 seconds.
Anyways, Sunako manages to evade death because Seishin managed to clap the hammer-wielding psychopath before he could turn her into a kebab. Ozaki escapes and so does Seishin and Sunako. And that's how it ends. So the big question is, who would you side with if this were real? The humans or the vampires, or neither? I know my answer, so how about you guys? Let me know down below. So that's it. There are a lot of things I didn't touch on, but I think that this video will be long enough as it is. Go watch SHIKI itself, it's good. 10 out of 10 would watch them all die again and again. Also, please subscribe.